Now it's on Ford to show us what they are capable of as for electric vehicles. This is the all-new Ford Mustang Mach-E, sporty Mustang jeans, exterior styling crossover, interior completely new, driving experience of course electric, here on Autogefuehl, in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! In the front you can see the Mustang jeans, so the sporty styling with the closed grille in this case, because it's an EV, but strong accentuations on the hood. Rapid red is the color for today, but we also have other colors for you, soon more to that. Then the contrasting lower area here, closed in the lower part here too, and headlamps standard with adaptive LED, and you can see a very interesting daytime running light signature. The length is at 4.71 m, 15'5" or 185 inches, and wheels come from 18 to 20 inch. These here are the 19-inch wheels, in between maybe good compromise. Crossover styling here with the black piano lacquer and the red color for today. And here the falling roofline, sporty strong shoulders right there, but indeed a crossover styling, so not SUV but also nothing too low sitting. Again, something in between, why not? Then the base model start with rear wheel drive only, already sporty touch of course, and then you can also get an all-wheel drive model. That means one electric motor in the rear, one electric motor in the front. That's also what we have here. And you can get two different battery sizes, either 68 kilowatt hours net or 88 kilowatt hours net, so that's the real usable size. And you can also combine them in whatever way possible. So you can go rear wheel drive, small battery, rear wheel drive, big battery, or all wheel drive, small battery, and all wheel drive, big battery, so all is possible. Which one would you go for? Of course, also always a matter of pricing. The range of the big battery, by the way, in good conditions, 450 kilometers plus or 300 miles plus. The smaller battery then with a little bit of less range, and then it depends on, do you floor it out on the motorway and what's the temperature outside, of course. Here the rear design with this claw design, vertical, like we know from the old Mustangs as well, really spectacular. And then you can see here this lip that is forming and contrasting black in the lower area. AWD logo then here for the dual motor setup. The top speed, by the way, is 180 kilometers now or 112 miles per hour. Only if you have the GT model, then you have 200 kilometers per hour or 125 miles per hour. Yeah, and talking about GT model and acceleration figures and so on, the normal rear-wheel drive model starts around 7 seconds in the acceleration figure, the all-wheel drive model around 6 seconds in the acceleration figure, just the GT model then less than 4 seconds, of course then the quickest one. Recharging, here at the driver's sides only, AC 11 kilowatts, DC 115 kilowatt for the small battery or 150 kilowatt for the big battery. That's already enough for 100 kilometers of recharging in 10 minutes approximately, or 60 miles in 10 minutes. However, nowadays we're also seeing EVs with like 250 kilowatt peak charging or something, so they could still top it up a little bit, but already I think you can get along. And we also caught some other colors on camera. Here the carbonized gray, then the little bit brighter iconic silver, and even brighter the so-called space white, or then more in the blue tone, a dark infinite blue metallic. the car key. It's quite bulky actual, doesn't feel that premium alike. And to open the vehicle you have several options. You can use the standard car key. You can also use your smartphone, that's possible. And you also have this area here with the key code, for example for rental cars or something. So different options they offer in this respect. Then you can hold on right there and open it here. There we go. And then inside of the doors, this car is completely animal free. So an animal friendly and sustainable approach. Soft touch here, both inside of doors right here and there. This is here to release the door. An interesting solution, definitely. Then you have an optional B&O sound system, 10 speaker here with a fabric cover. That's really cool. The speaker is underneath that. Mustang entry badge right there, red contrast stitches, steering wheel also with red contrast stitches, left side to control the cruise control, right side for example the volume. Then also nice fabric inserts right here with a very shallow digital instrument cluster, but actually clear to read. And you see here 450 kilometers is the projected range. So yeah, something 300 miles, 450 kilometers is indeed a realistic range here for the big battery all-wheel drive model. Then the seats. You have two seatings available, either the whole slick surface, or then here the optional is like a premium package, optional with perforation, that's more breathable then. And both are again animal free and high grade leatherette, so it really feels super premium, very soft. You get the same tactile feeling you would get with the animal based one, just that it's using less resources and sparing the animals. So really cool choice. And the GT model will get microfiber on the inside surface and also microfiber applications on the steering wheel, and also the steering wheel again animal free. So it's the first time we see that in the Ford, and of course a huge step forward. Great. So then seating is electric here also, and the seating position is indeed crossover alike. It doesn't feel like a high SUV, but it doesn't feel like a sedan. Indeed something in between. And again, the cool thing I immediately realized is that the seats are really very soft and plush. And usually when you have non-fabric surfaces, so like rather slick surfaces, they sometimes tend to feel a little bit hard or harsh, but here really soft and nice. So happy with that. Steering wheel can be controlled right here, up and down, in and out. Doesn't feel most premium this in this area. We see mixed things here indeed. So some things we look at or feel or touch are somewhat mediocre, like the buttons at the steering wheel, like the system here for controlling the steering wheel column. But then again, the fabric surfaces here or the seats, these are really high grade, high class. So indeed, mixed as for the build quality so far. But definitely a huge step forward if you compare like standard common Ford models. This is indeed something completely different here. Headroom with 1.86 or 6'1", still something left. And here, this is the panoramic roof. It is a fixed one, you cannot open it. What's interesting is that for the front windscreen and also for this panoramic roof, you have a special UV coating available. And this is then reducing, the impact of sun rays coming from the outside. So when you get this panoramic roof, you can also be sure that not too much heat gets on the interior. Interior overview, once again, really cool with the fabric inserts here and the B&O sound system. Then this is more carbon fiber style, so to speak. Contrast stitches, and then this vertical huge screen, 15.5 inch. So really massive. Soon more details to all of that. You can already see there's a great screen clarity. Wow, the colors and the sharpness is really awesome. This is really cool. But the user interface, soon more to that. Left side, 10.2 inch. This shallow but wide display then for speed and for the range and so on. And the steering wheel, once again, from this perspective with the Mustang logo. But then, the buttons and so are somewhat usual, standard. Other things then look really premium in this vehicle. In the lower part, you have really a lot of space. That's really cool. Also with an inductive charging pad. You can also connect Apple CarPlay or Android Auto with, just wirelessly. But you can also use the cable USB-C and USB-A, so both is available. Good solution. Then adaptive cup holders, it's also nice. And also the middle console here is very well executed. Here with the turning, shifting lever here for the D mode. And then you have here this armrest, well attached. Put it up, and then this is also a good build quality with a lot of space and 12-volt power supply. So overall, really liking what I see so far. The instruments here with an easy layout, the digital speed, then GPS information, so it's actually simple but straightforward once again. And the range of around about 450 kilometers or 280 miles is really good because, this projection here at -1 degrees Celsius, so that's freezing point. And when it's cold, the batteries usually have lower range, or the vehicles have lower range, so it's already a good figure for this temperature. It's really hard to catch this here on a normal 16:9 camera unless you have vertical video syndrome. Yeah, about that. So put it in a YouTube search, vertical video syndrome, and watch that video. I really recommend it. So, and then here, the GPS map, really responsive, and again, really clear display. I really like that. Then you have some, like an app view here in the lower area. And this is the only physical thing, like attached on the screen for the volume. And I think that's really good because in some, situations, you just want to turn up and down the volume manually, so to speak. And I think that's really cool to have that still. Climate control right here. Not physical, but still at least somewhat easily accessible. So that works. And seat heating and steering wheel heating is in the lower area. This is maybe a little bit complicated to control than here in this lower area. Yeah, but this Ford Sync 4 system here, completely new generation and nothing like we've seen ever before with the Fords. So really cool. Then this part here is, doesn't have the best overview. So, the user interface could be maybe a little bit less complicated, but overall I think I'm happy with that. Here the vehicle controls with the driving modes. This, rather changes like the throttle input, for example. Untamed then referring to untamed horses, Mustangs. Then you have even more throttle input, for example. And then here you can activate or deactivate the one pedal driving. From works, it leaves without it. But usually when you're used to electric vehicle driving, you activate it because in the moment you get off the throttle, the car's already decelerating. Usually that's a safety thing, so it's better than from transition to the brakes. And when you have the one pedal driving, you basically, in most situations, do not need the brakes anymore. So I would recommend to leave it on. Camera also with a crisp resolution. That looked creepy with the guy right there. Are we in some horror movie? Interesting. So, not sure why it's interesting. That doesn't look too live-ish, but the resolution itself is really cool. But that's great. Okay.
It's a glitch.
It's a glitch. Yeah, it's a glitch in the Matrix. We found a glitch in the Matrix. Told you. Let me tell you why you're here. So, and here we also have the surround view from above. Overall, really interesting to... It's another glitch with a vehicle. Yeah. Live on Autogefuehl. I know you like it that way. Driver assistance systems, they can also, for example, change the valid mode is also available. So overall, impressive system. Not too much overloaded. I think we can very well control it and have a lot of fun with it. And again, it's very responsive. And now let's see. There you can already see me in the 360-degree view. At the moment, the front camera is mounted because I'm in normal G mode. So was it just a glitch? Or have I repaired the Matrix? Hello? I think now it's smooth again, right? So, yeah, obviously, I'm fitting to the Matrix. Well, you have an all-electric new car. All-electric sound, but... Do-do-do, do-do-do. You still have the classic Ford, hey, you open the door sound and still have the ignition on. Just read the comment, Thomas, you forgot the door closing sound. Thanks for the heads up, of course, we'll do that. Front. That doesn't sound that good. Rather a little bit weird. But now I got a surprise for you. The door closing sound in the rear. Sounds awesome. So, yeah, that's rare. In the front, not that good, but in the rear, very cool. Interesting. Then, the rear, right there, electric platform. That means no middle tunnel. Battery is placed in the lower part of the vehicle, of course, underneath the bottom to keep the center of gravity low. And also these leatherette seats here in the rear. By the way, they also have a brand name for it. They call it Sensico in Europe, or Active X or Active X in the US. That's the brand name for the high-grade leatherette. And in the US, by the way, you also can get a beige color for that. That's also pretty amazing. Then, inside of the doors in the rear is still here somewhat soft. Also, again, the leatherette use, so really good build quality. And once again, I really love the fabric covers here for the B&O speakers. Really cool. The seat, as I would be driving, means you can easily house 4 tall adults in this vehicle, maybe 5, we will soon find out. Here, still some legroom left. You sit relatively high, so it will be quite cool for kids as well. Since we have this fixed panoramic roof, there's also still space above my head. To the side, still somewhat okay. And yeah, good view. Michelle always likes to film that one. So this panoramic roof, you see the tinting of the windows, the UV protection, but then great view to the outside. Here, by the way, these hangers are interesting. They're like hidden here, and then you can fold them out, putting a jacket or something. It's quite interesting. Isofix at the outsides each. You can already fold the seats from here. This is like the classic folding mechanism button in the middle part here. Let's see, no middle tunnel, therefore it's easy. And since this leatherette is, again, I have to say, super high quality, extremely soft. You can take a look at that here again. When I put my fingers in it, then you can see, like visually see how soft it is. So very well done. And also the middle seat can be occupied quite well, headroom and legroom wise, just a little bit harder than at the back, but you can also, again, drive it with 5 tall adults then. Here you can have adaptive cup holders. That's interesting. And in the middle console here, once again, this split between USB-C and USB-A. And I think it's a good solution because there's so many devices out there. Some still have the USB-A, some still have or already have the USB-C. And I think it's a good mix then in this case. So I'm really happy overall with the interior, what I see so far. And now to the trunk or the boot. Here with the swiping of foot gesture, you can also open this electric hatch. 29 up to 60 cubic feet or 400 liters up to 1,400 liters. If we fold the seats, square dimensions, very well usable. Then you can fold this one here up and have, for example, space for your charging cables. You can put it here in the rear, but also in the front, of course. Other than that, not too high the sill. Then you can also reach over here and then fold seats like this, and then you really have a lot of space, so very well usable. It's not too high here though, but you can see you can fit the backpack in here, just not like, like here, but push it a little bit more inward. The only disadvantage is when you have these really high things in the trunk and they hit it from below while closing, this can here pop out of the anchor. So, yeah, and then you have it like hanging around, you have to put it in place again. That's the only disadvantage of it. But overall, still very reusable. Child safety test. Yeah, very sensitive, so no problem as for that. And now let's leave the backpack right there. You see here, it touches then this top part. Not sure if it will do any problem this time. Let's reopen it. There's the button below. I think this time, yeah, this time it worked. I'm not sure, maybe like the backpack was standing here last time. Did it cause any problems right there? See here, when it goes down to the backpack now. Yeah, I think now it happened. Let's see. Let's open again. Yeah, it worked. But you see, it hit like here, and then it can happen that there it is. That it pushes it from below, and then this happens. Yeah, but of course, you can also at any time completely remove it if you want. And we have a frunk, 5 cubic feet or 80 liters. And you can have this split here in the front. There's, of course, a little bit plastic-ishy. But yeah, I probably would not go with that, but just have an open area for the charging cable and so on. And what's interesting is it's also a so-called Ford Mega Box. We know it from the Ford Puma. There is a drain even, so you can put some ice cubes in it and the water could rinse through, theoretically. And interesting feature here, design feature, Mustang stamping here from the inside. Before we get to the normal driving lounge, let's start with the acceleration. We have an open air field just for us for the acceleration test. Why Mach-E, or Mach as we say in German for the pronunciation? Mach 1 is the speed of sound for airplanes. That's 760 miles per hour or 1,230 kilometers per hour. Well, the car doesn't reach that, but it says here ground speed, also airplane inspired, and Mach-E, of course, then the electric, airplane, and yeah, you get it. So let's do the acceleration here in the untamed mode. $100. And top speed 180. Woo! Yeah, that went quite quick. So, nice acceleration. All-wheel drive model here of the Ford Mustang E, Ford Mustang Mach-E. Yeah, we talked about that. And we directly have a slalom mode here for us. Steering is really direct, but doesn't convey such a good feeling. But the suspension is actually quite sporty, so it is fun to steer it around. Missing a little bit of the steering feeling is a little bit, not connected to the road, but definitely a lot of driving fun and super direct the vehicle, and the throttle response, electric motor, direct torque, there. And it's all when you have passengers and it's like, so you really have to take care of your passengers. But yeah, really quick acceleration. The GT model will be even faster, but here, this one is the fastest non-GT model, so to speak. And now welcome to the usual Thomas's driving lounge here, electric driving lounge with the Ford Mustang Mach-E. And we start on the German motorway right here. What about the noise insulation? We are inching towards 120 kilometers an hour, so yeah, something 70 miles per hour. And noise insulation is not that bad, but also not superb. We've had other EV competitors that are a little bit better as for noise insulation. Here it's comparable to the noise level of the Teslas we've driven, I would say. Whereas, for example, the Audi or the Porsche EVs were a little bit more silent, also more optimized for higher speeds. Overall, here on the motorway, from first test seating and the looks more crossover-like, here I really have to say now, it already tells you a little bit more SUV. You have this upright seating position, you have a good overview of the road and so on. So indeed, I more and more get rather SUV than a crossover feeling. The steering could have a little bit more feeling for my taste. So it is very direct and sporty, but it doesn't convey the best connection from like driver, car and the road. As for the energy economy, so again, it really depends on the outside temperature and how much you floor it down and so on. But here on our trip so far, when we are at reasonable motorway speeds, we are in a higher 20 kilowatt hours in 1 kilometer regions. So that's done at the moment like 25 kilowatt hours, 1 kilometer, something like that. That's then something like 35 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. This would rather come close than to a 400 kilometers of range or 250 miles of range. But it really depends. But overall, I think it's quite okay so far what we see in this respect. A lot of assistance systems packed in this vehicle as well. We have a blind spot monitor, for example, also in the side mirrors. Hope to be able to showcase this to you very soon. The suspension we have here is normal steel suspension, but so far it does a good job. It's a good compromise between sportiness and comfort. Only the GT model will get an adaptive suspension, so-called magnet ride or Magni ride, which then adapts to the to the surface a little bit more, and also to the driving modes you pick. Really cool, you've seen with the new multimedia system, Ford Sync 4A. The GPS is running here, the car GPS, although I have the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto mounted, and that was so far not the case. So far in the Ford Sync systems, you could not use both, but now it's possible to use the car internal GPS, even though when we have the CarPlay mounted. That's of course a big step forward. And also over-the-air updates are possible now, so-called OTAs. Then you can also keep your system updated. Here now, German Motorway, unlimited speed here, and we are at 100 kilometers an hour, and we can accelerate it out. Let's go. Well, that's 150 kilometers an hour. Really quick also in the acceleration, even though we were already at speed. Changing the driving modes while driving. Here you press this vehicle button. A little bit distracting to do that while driving, definitely. But here and then the driving modes. Active, Whisper, Untamed. Let's go to the Untamed mode and see if there's any difference. Also sound-wise there's a little difference. So I'll drop back to, there's the blind spot monitor. See the symbol in the side mirrors. Now I drop back to 100 kilometers, 60 miles an hour. And as soon as we can have a safe acceleration again, I will... okay, warm up here. Blind spot monitor also blinking when I hit the turning indicator. Yeah, after this motorbike and this tuned GTI. So get ready, now in the Untamed mode. And 150. So the throttle input was a little bit quicker then, and you also heard this electric sound, this sound generator. Then in the Untamed mode you get this sound feedback then. So yeah, I mean, why not? So yeah, if you like it or not, it really depends on just personal preference. I'm in the one pedal driving mode, so when I go off the throttle we have immediately a strong deceleration. Usually I do not need the brakes at all than the normal brakes, and you can have different steps. You can, when you deactivate this mode and you lift the throttle, you just roll, especially in the normal driving modes. That way car is rolling. Then you have here this L mode, like a low gear, from combustion engines. Then there's stronger recuperation, and even stronger than in the one pedal mode. And then when you're in the one pedal driving mode, then the L setting also, you can just ignore it basically, and you're just fine with the normal D mode. So again, I would recommend rather than using it in the one pedal driving feeling mode. That's how you drive EV nowadays. There are different philosophies of that on the market, definitely. Especially the German manufacturers rather go on rolling mode, for example. But BMW has a good approach to that, I think, because they have rather this rolling approach, but then they have this intelligent assistant where you lift the throttle, and then when the car is in front of you, there's recuperation happening. So this, I think, could be a good compromise of that. Other than that, you can argue for and against it if, which way is actually the better one. Would be looking forward to your feedback. So far, feeling quite safe here, also at 150 kilometers an hour. High speed. Also here when I do the lane change, the car is really stable. The suspension again is a good compromise of sportiness and comfort, so you'll be fine with the base suspension. Just the steering is a little bit too artificial for me. Let's test it once again. This was the active mode. Now I'm back in this Untamed mode. What about the steering wheel? Steering feeling? It doesn't change too much for me now. Yeah. So that's, to me, the biggest let off of the vehicle. Again, it feels sporty, but more arcade style. It's not that it delivers a natural driving feeling. However, it does deliver you sporty Mustang fun. You have a great acceleration. No doubt about that. Whoa! They almost collided. That happened. Yeah. Also, very interesting things you can always see on the road when we are in our driving parts. Let's go back to the normal driving mode right here. deceleration when I get off the throttle. Pretty strong deceleration indeed, that you can also compare to Tesla, definitely. What about the energy consumption when you are at high speeds? So usually we have, when you really go like full speed, really hit the throttle, then you're usually putting it to double the output. That is like the normal thing that is happening, And controlling the screen while driving, again, sometimes a little bit distracting. Here now, actually I'm quite surprised that although we had high speed, we were relatively efficient. Now we're at 23 kilowatt hours and 1 kilometers. So that's then like 30 something kilowatt hours on 100 miles. This brings us back to our projected range of 450 kilometers or 280 miles. And considering we were driving quite fast, I think that's really quite good. So happy with that so far. When we, for example, we set another trip meter here, and I set the cruise control, for example. Lane keeping assist on now, and I set the cruise control. Let's see how much we can score then when we are in a very reasonable level. So here, the cruise control is set. Now also the lane keeping assist. Let's test that. Here the car is being actively kept in the lane. Of course, always keep your hands on the steering wheel. But so far, it's doing a quite good job, and it's not that nervous, and small corrections of that, feeling quite safe. Yeah, well done so far. And let's see if at any point I also get the warning, keep your hands on the steering wheel or something, because sometimes there are these false positives when you are going straight, long motorway rides. In some cars, they don't realize you're still on then, and then they are, staying like a moved steering wheel or something. But here so far so good, and really calm also on the motorway as for the assistance systems. So good safety system pack we have here. Do you still feel you would be driving a Ford? I mean, yes, somewhat due to the interior, but again, this is something completely new, a huge step forward for the whole brand, no doubt about that. If you wondered, by the way, about the all-wheel drive distribution, there is a rear-wheel only model, and there's then this all-wheel drive model. If you have the all-wheel drive model like we have here with the 2 electric motors, you still have a rear wheel bias, so the predominant motor the car is using is the rear motor, and when you really accelerate it out, then also more power from the front electric motor is being demanded. And I think that's really good for the agility of the vehicle. And once again, setting cruise control here at higher speeds. Now also in this slight corner, active lane keeping assist is still doing a good job. And also set the distance I want to have to the car in front of us. For example, minimum distance, or here, cars decelerating immediately when I have set a longer distance. Really happy also with the assistance systems so far. So driving wise, once again, I think, now keep your hands on the steering wheel. Now it's demanding that I shake it a little bit, but this was the first time that happened. And I can, for example, there's a speed camera. Good that we didn't catch that. I already have my photo right here, like on my video. I don't need the separate one. Yeah, I mean, when the car goes that quick, you always have to watch out. No doubt about that. Switching between the GPS and other things, you see here, click in this kind of app thing. Right, no, straight and then right, yeah. Exactly, you have the big map here, left side, then some minor arrows arrows that you see here on the digital screen. So that's also a nice combination. And since it's also put quite high, you do not miss necessarily a head-up display. So actually I'm also fine with that. Now off the motorway, suspension-wise, we're really happy also too. So when you ask me, sporty Mustang genes, definitely yes. There are more silent vehicles on the motorway at higher speeds, yes, but it's also quite reasonable as for noise insulation. Good suspension, as we know from Ford. Even better probably will be the GT suspension than when you have the adaptive suspension there. Nice performance. The user interface is, here and there could be a little bit better, but still quite good to use and definitely a huge step forward as for that. Interesting also from the whole electric technology. Fast charging could maybe be a little bit faster. What was that? Interesting. Was it like wiper fluid or something? Very strange. About that. So, and the only thing here with the steering wheel. So driving wise, that the steering wheel does not have like the best feeling in it. That's something they could improve. Other than that, really nice flawless driving experience here on the motorway so far. And some more calmer driving, lower speeds. And I really have to say, it has this sports heritage and so on. But to me, this is more also a cruiser. Yes, it has some performance acceleration, no doubt, but it's really cool and suitable for, also for some rural roads or also for some city driving, because it's not a small vehicle, but it doesn't feel too big because it's quite agile. But as a cruiser for some nice and fun roads, I think that's where it's at home, because it's not the sportiest EV. It's also not, the EV that is most on comfort. However, due to the very soft and plush seating surface, upright seating position, and the good suspension, to me, it's really very comfortable. That's what I find really, really cool. And I mean, direct competitors, of course, the Tesla Model Y, and for example, also the VW ID.4. They were still having a lot of software issues. That's better definitely with this one here today. And we also have, for example, some nice energy meters. And for example, showing me like percentage of climate use, route, accessories, and the exterior temperature. So what are the crucial factors here for my energy consumption? And here at the moment, it's 84% the route. That means like, how are we going up, down, putting all the foot on the accelerator and so on. This varies, of course, then depending on the outside temperature and how you really drive. But definitely interesting to see, especially for the passengers, because they can concentrate a little bit more on all these details, not necessarily that you have it as a driver. That's why they made the instruments also really restricted or limited in the in what you can actually see, and I think that's also a good decision. So rather keep it simple. So I think also when you think about the pricing, starting then below 50,000 euros or dollars, and when you put it full spec like it is here now, you still stay below 70,000 euros or dollars, which is not cheap at all, no. But if you consider the competition, BMW iX3 would also be a competitor, definitely. I mean, especially the US prices are always a little bit fairer, since this car is also built in Mexico, and then it's also a little bit more expensive for us when we buy it in Europe. So if you ask me now, from the EV SUVs I have driven, I mean, Tesla Model X is more expensive and bigger, but still taking that one into account, BMW iX3, VW ID.4, the Audi e-tron, and Mercedes EQC, all somewhat in different price regions and different segments. More and more are coming up, definitely, and we are keeping you updated as for that, definitely here also on our channel. But this one to me is, in this middle segment around these competitors. It's cheaper than some of the super expensive premium competitors. It already offers you really interesting luxury features, like for example, it's the you know, the new seating material and an extensive infotainment unit and so on for, you know, like tech-oriented people. Yeah, some of the build quality here and there is totally fine, but not on a level like on a really high premium car. Yeah, so I would say it's a good choice then in between. If you don't want to go too expensive, still want something spicy, you know, as for the sporty touch here with the Mustang logo and the name and this the sporty styling and so on. So yeah, I mean, why not? So to me, my favorite is at the moment still the BMW iX3, I would say, because it was the most sophisticated driving experience, but it's also quite expensive. Best thing for you, of course, is to check the video description. There we have all the linked videos to our other reviews. So I'd say see you there. But first of all, now our final conclusion for the day with the whole wrap-up. And now to our conclusion for the day with the all-new Ford Mustang Mach-E. Somehow the German pronunciation, like with Mach, sounds somewhat more fitting, right? Doesn't it? Very rare case. Usually English sounds better than German. Yeah, more soft, like das German. Just kidding. So back to our conclusion. Exterior really striking. Yeah, I mean, sporty design, like it's supposed to be for Mustang. Closed front grille, but doesn't look, any bad or something. Crossover styling, but when being on the interior, it already feels a little bit more SUV-ish. Upright seating position, animal-free interior, really soft, super sophisticated seating surface, especially here in this premium package. So they really did a great job there. Also a paradigm shift for the Ford vehicles. Also the space you have on the interior is good. New infotainment system. Here and there it could be a little bit better as for the user interface, but comparing to what we had before, even here so much more sophisticated and you can do a lot with that actually. Sporty driving feeling, a lot of fun to drive, no doubt about that. Good acceleration, will be even better in the GT model. Of course, we'll keep you up on our channel with that one. The only thing, this steering feel could be a little bit more connected to the road. It is direct and sporty, yes, but doesn't give you the best connected feeling driver, car and road. That's the thing I would actually improve. Other than that, quite convincing. And the range, as I said, what we found out earlier with something 250 to 300 miles, 400, 450 kilometers. Here, of course, low temperatures. They do not have a heat pump. That would be the other technology thing to fix, actually. So the low temperatures can, of course, have an effect on that. Since we had something in the 20 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometer energy consumption, that's something in the 30 kilowatt hour on 100 miles consumption. So very interesting vehicle, no doubt. Pricing then, both in Germany and, for example, also in the US, starts below 50,000 euros or dollars. And when you put everything in it, you still stay below 70,000 euros or dollars. So not cheap overall, but considering the competition, it's actually an interesting offer. Of course, you should compare the competitors. We will link the videos in the video description. Really hope you enjoyed our episode for today. Please subscribe to us if you haven't done so far and leave us your comments to the new Ford Mustang Mach-E. See you next time.